Okay, welcome back. We are winging our way through a little 4-part series on the 4 cornerstones of being an enduring marketer. And we talked about the first 3. We talked about understanding behavioral psychology as the anchor of everything. Nothing's changed in the human brain and the way we react to things over thousands and thousands of years. So it's a great investment that you can make to know that for the next 30 years, understanding why people do what they do is going to be a good investment of your time. The second is understanding and developing your own mental models and your own frameworks for the way that you interpret the things that you understand about psychology, and through your own experimentation, applying them to your own business. Now, the great thing about frameworks is they're transferable. So I've spent 30 years developing these frameworks, and I've got frameworks for getting leads, for converting leads, for multiplying the transactions that you do, and for getting referrals. And those are things that I'm able to transfer to people through all the live events that we do, the Zooms that we do. Those are the cornerstone of what makes my unique approach to marketing valuable to me and to other people. And that's my advice for you, is developing the ability to get a result for somebody else, or to get a repeatable result for yourself. And then we talked about copywriting, and copywriting as a overriding term for being able to communicate your message in a way that conveys a message to people and moves them towards action. And we talked about the through line of you get benefit now, and not being able to go wrong with that. Now, the fourth cornerstone of this is what I call design, and I'm putting it under that umbrella, and that's being able to present your ideas, to package your ideas in all the ways that people consume your message. So if we look at all of the delivery devices, there's really just a few basic things. We have to be able to write words and put words on the page in a way that is drawing the eye in, or spacing things out so that people respond, understanding the fonts and the look of things. One of the most durable things that I learned early on, and have kind of taken as a signature, is making something look like news. It's much better to have something look like content than it is to look like an ad. And I want to be clear that when I'm talking about design, I'm not talking about making things look flashy or making things look from an artistic standpoint. I'm talking about from a practical production of what it is that you're doing in a way that people can consume it. So I learned, making something look like news is a great way. So when you're running a newspaper article, the reason people are reading the newspaper or a magazine is because they're reading it for the content. And if you can make your message look like content, the readership and the attention that you get is going to be going through a different lens than people are evaluating advertising. When something looks like an ad, we know to filter it differently than when it looks like information. I shared that one of the first exciting kind of news style things we did was with the Unix programmers in Ottawa. We did in the tech journals. We wrote what looked like newspaper articles that said Unix contractors commanding $55 per hour, and then 2 columns of what looked like a newspaper article, just directing people to action. So having the ability to recognize the best formats or the best ways to send things is a skill that's worth developing. Now, when I met Jerry Ballinger, when Eben and I spent the day with him and got to see his environment, what I was struck by was how much attention to detail he put into actually laying things out. He had this style of making things look like news, and but also using these cartoon clip art types of things that really like added to communicating the message. And I made the decision then at the guidance of Jerry to learn how to actually do that, to become self-sufficient. So that's where I went into learning Adobe PageMaker, and the ability to have zero friction from getting my ideas, putting them in place, and actually getting them into the world. That's a really valuable skill when you're young and you don't necessarily have a team or a big network or resources to outsource things like that. I look at, around that time, there were two independent filmmakers that were really coming up, and they kind of took two different approaches as I've observed them now. There was Quentin Tarantino, who had done Pulp Fiction, and there is Robert Rodriguez, who did the El Mariachi and all the Spy Kids movies and Desperado. And Robert, his approach, if you look up on YouTube, 10-minute film school, you'll see his approach to doing things is his advice to young filmmakers is to get technical, learn the technical skills, because those are things you can learn, but you can't learn to be creative. You're already creative. So if you're creative and technical, that makes you dangerous. That makes you able to put the whole thing together. So to this day, he still shoots the movies, does the editing, does the special effects, does the theme song, or the scoring, all of it. And then contrast that with Quentin Tarantino. And I recently saw an interview with Quentin Tarantino where he was describing a lunch that he had with one of his hero directors, Terry Gilliam. And he asked, this was at Cannes, and it was right before he was getting Pulp Fiction out there. And he asked Terry Gilliam, he said, you have such an amazing way of getting your vision on the screen. And how do you do that? How do you get what your vision is actually on the screen? And Terry Gilliam said to him, well, first of all, that's not your job. Your job isn't to get your vision on the screen. You can hire the best cinematographer who knows what lenses and what framing and what to do to get your vision on the screen. You can hire the best lighting, the best costume designers. What your job is to be able to describe what your vision is and hire the best people to get your vision on the screen. And I think that that's absolutely what you should aspire to looking for, is that we are definitely in a world where you are surrounded by technical capabilities. There's no friction in things now. Even with AI, with all the tools now that are available, being able to describe your vision and being able to use the tools that can create anything you want, your job is to take the things that AI can't do for you, which is combining your understanding of behavioral science, your mental models and frameworks for how this applies to your business, the words and message that you want to convey, and then the design and the output of how you're going to get it out into the world, whether it's text, whether it's video, whether it's pictures or sound. Those are the big four cornerstones that haven't changed. This just the technical ability to create them and all the myriad ways that we can distribute them. Those are all things that other people can do for you. So focus on those four cornerstones, and then let's come back tomorrow. We are on page 119 of journal number 1 of 30 years of insights of journaling almost every day. So there's exciting things coming up here.